Hello, students of Human Situation. I'm Thomas Adkins, and I'm here to take you on a quick orientation of your Blackboard sites. That's right, there are two of them. There's one for the plenary, and I'll take you through how to get into that. And the important resources in there are the weekly folders. And then we'll look at the discussion section, and the important folders in there are the discussion board, the assignments, course information, course documents, and grades. Okay, but first I want to show you how to get there, just in case you don't know. So, here we are, boisestate.edu. I'm going to go to My Boise State. I'm going to sign in as a student, and I'm going to use my login credentials. And then to get to Blackboard, we'll use this left-hand side toolbar. Some of you may see Blackboard in this left-hand side toolbar, and some of you may not. So if you don't see it, you go to this resources and add it, and then you'll see it, find it right down here, Blackboard Learn. And then you log in with the same credentials that you used to log into My Boise State. Here's the thing now, I like to add a little shortcut for my Blackboard, because as you can see, the URL is simply blackboard.boisestate.edu. So let me show you that. We'll just, act like we're starting over here. Blackboard, oh, and I already filled it in for me. Blackboard.boisestate.edu, and then you can just add it as a shortcut. So I'll log in with the same credentials. And I know many of you probably already know this, but just making sure. Okay, so under courses where you are a student, you will find two things. You'll find one that says, HS discussion section, which stands for human situation, and then the time in which you are enrolled, that class in which you are enrolled. And then there is also one called the plenary, UF 100 Human Situation Plenary. So let's look at the plenary first. And again, an important resource in the plenary is simply the weekly materials. And that is this right here. In the weekly materials, let's take a look at this week. Week 1 is the Sparta. You will find some helpful resources for you that week. And so what we have in this folder, for example, is one, we have the reading for the week. Oh, excuse me, that's right here, this week's reading. Here's an important bio. This is a resource on reading difficult texts. Right here we have an awesome resource called the paragraph of the week, and this is created by Professor Yenner, who is one of the lead faculty in the plenary. And he takes you through one of the paragraphs in the Lycurgus text to kind of show you, critical inquiry in action, what we want you to do as you're reading these texts. Here we've provided for you a lecture from a previous semester, just in case you missed that first week. I know there's a lot of enrollment issues going on during the first week. People are dropping, people are adding, and things like that, and you might not get into this course, so I've added this in there. And then we have an outline of the text that week. You can use this while you're reading to kind of keep track, so you know what's coming as you're reading. And then we have an additional resource of another instructor discussing Lycurgus, this particular reading. Okay, so you'll see these types of resources in each week's folder. And I'll go back to weekly materials again, and we'll take a look at next week, because there's something I want you to know. This week's reading, for example, this week's reading is from one of the texts you purchased from the bookstore. So you'll see this kind of note anytime that there is the reading comes from the text, or you will see this link provide for you a PDF of what we will be reading that week. Again, we have the bios, and we have a link to Spark Notes. These are additional resources for you to kind of get acquainted with the text. They're not a source, they're a supplemental resource to help you out, to help you get introduced to the text, most of all. And then we have some videos. I like this one. Okay, so that's the weekly materials. You'll be using that every single week. Again, these are all supplemental materials except for the week's reading. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's take a look at the discussion section, Blackboard site. So, and let's go into this Thursday at 6 p.m. one. These will be exactly the same, so it doesn't matter if you're in the Friday or 1:30 p.m. or if you're in one that has a different day or time. They will be exactly the same. So we'll go into Thursdays. And as you can see, I have it bringing to the announcements page, and I'll be posting important announcements there. I have a staff information link with a little something about me. You have my contact information, my office location, my office phone, as well as my office hours. Please feel free to utilize those if you have any questions. Then we'll go down into course information, and in here I will have the link to this video that I'm making right now, as well as the rubrics. So I have the critical reading engagement deliverable rubric, which we will talk about in a moment, and the discussion board rubric. So the course information is all about, like policies, syllabus, schedule, and rubrics, and helpful resources like this video right now. Let's go into course documents. Here I have the makeup assignments folder, and in here I will post makeup assignments. I haven't just yet because we haven't started the semester, but if you miss a class, that will reduce your grade by 30 points, and so I've created some makeup assignments for you to make those up. The exam resources folder is also important. We will be using this throughout the semester. I have the link to the online testing center because you will be, registering to take the tests in the testing center, which is in the education building. And then there's these Google Doc links, like the Exam 1 Google Docs. And there's the short answer essay study guide. And there will be additional resources in here as the semester progresses, but you already have access to this study guide, and we will break this up, and I can go ahead and click on it and show you what it looks like. It leads to a Google Doc. You'll have access to it, and these are the questions that we will have for our study guide, and we'll break these up by maybe 2 students per question to answering all these questions throughout the semester. Okay, and you can type right into this Google Doc. I'll cover that later in class. Then we'll go back to exam resources, and there's exam 1, exam 2, and exam 3. We'll have 3 different folders there, and they will begin to fill up more and more, but I want to show you this presentations one. Here's the presentation rubric and instructions. This is also in the course information. And then we have the presentation sign-up sheet, and I'll expect you guys within this next week here, and I'll talk about this in class, to sign up for a presentation on a particular author. And as you can see here, we can have 2 presenters per author. Okay, we'll talk about this more in class, but I just wanted to show you how to access that. You can write right into this spreadsheet. Okay. And then we have some resources on presenting, the science of stage fright, what it does to you, and then evaluative situations. We'll be revisiting this video several times throughout the semester. It can be in relationship to presentations, interviews, exams, you name it. This is some very interesting research. It's a TED Talk, and it's very nice. I like it quite a bit. Okay, now we'll look at the last folder, which is the weekly activities documents, and I'll post in here every week, at least 24 hours before our session starts, what we will be doing in class. So you don't really need to review them unless you're curious, but just make sure that you bring them to class each week. All right, Let's take a look now at the assignments folder, which is right here. So this is where you will submit a makeup assignment, and this is where you will submit week one's critical reading engagement deliverable. And you're going to do that by 10 a.m. on January 23rd. And here's the assignment description there. The assignment description is also in your syllabus, but let me show you how to submit. So I click on the week one cred, and then I can upload my Word document or PDF. So you can select Browse My Computer, and I will go ahead and select, let's go Human Situation. I'm going to go ahead and turn in the syllabus. If you like, here you go. You can write in a little note there. But again, you want to do it as a Word document or a PDF. Other things don't show up too well. And then you click Submit. And it'll bring you to this page where you can review your submission. And here's our lovely syllabus. There's my little note. And you can just click OK to get out of this. And that's how you submit. And you can do the same with the makeup assignment. Browse My Computer, select the file, and click Submit. You can write a little note to me if you want. And we'll have one of these one of these critical reading engagement deliverables every week for 15 weeks, I believe. I don't think there is one for the final, because during finals week, I should say. All right, let's go to discussion board. So here we have up to week 5 for the Thursday class, and we have the week 1 Lycurgus of Sparta discussion forum. Here I have the instructions here for this assignment after having finished this week's reading as 2 questions that you have regarding the material. Click Create Thread to write an original response by Wednesday at noon. Okay, and then later on you'll do some reply posts as well, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, it looks like we already have one person who has submitted theirs. That's excellent. Let's go into week 1. So as you can see, there's this button that says Create Forum. Don't click that. Go to this week 1, Lycurgus of Sparta, or next week, go to week 2 of Oedipus, but since it's week 1, we'll go here. And we will choose Create Thread. And I'm going to call this one Test. And we want 2 questions, Test, Test 2. And you just write your questions right into there. And then you go Submit. And as you can see, there is mine. Very cool. Now let's talk about responding. Let's go to Robert's. And Robert has his 2 questions here. Do you feel that Lycurgus was using the deprivation of luxuries to manipulate the countrymen into becoming soldiers? Or do you think it was the countrymen's own desire to live a militaristic life? Excellent question. Very good. And in our reply, and you just click that reply button, you'll write out either, and I have this in the instructions, what you want to do is attempt to answer the question. As you can see, Robert's done a great job of putting this on a subjective level because we're just dialoguing with the text, right? We're looking at this ancient society and this ancient way of life, and we're just kind of, bringing it back to, as you can see, today as well in his second question. And you just kind of want to answer the question with how you feel about it. And in the first week, you're really drawing from personal experience. But as we move forward into the semester, I will expect more substantive responses where you reflect back on previous readings and previous discussions and you work them into your answers here. So for next week when we're reading Oedipus, you can ask a question, regarding Oedipus's fate, and then maybe when someone answers it, they can relate back to some of the things that were in Lycurgus's texts, such as, the fate of the Spartan society and the fate of each individual, to be a part of a unit, a part of society, more than focused on the individuality. Things like that you can draw back to. And this is my test response. And you go submit. And there we have a response. Pretty easy. Okay. Now there's one last folder I want to show you, which is my grades. And I don't have any grades, but you will see something completely different each week as as assignments become available. You will see them here. You're likely seeing right now the week 1 cred, and then the discussion board for week 1 and the discussion board for week 2. What are they worth? After you submit, you'll see like an exclamation point that says things like this needs grading, and then once I'm done grading them, you will be able to see the points as well as the total points up here. I believe it's at the top of what you've earned in the course. Okay. Well, I just wanted to give you that quick tour and cover those few items there so you can get a handle on this. I know that many of you, this might be your very, very first semester. Some of you may already have had much experience with Blackboard before, and none of this is new to you. But to those of you that are new to you, that this is new to you, don't worry. Watch this video. Email me if you have any questions. You saw my contact information there in staff information in the discussion section site. Okay? All right. I look forward to seeing you this week.